Hey guys, Jackson here. Today we got the official announcement of the new Smart Brick system and Smart Figs and Smart Tiles for all the Star Wars sets, specifically is what I'm caring about. And I just want to talk about my thoughts and feelings about it, considering I am excited and not excited about certain aspects of it. So, announcement came out. Actually, I can transition here to showing some photos of it. Yeah. So the announcement came out today that we're getting an official look at what the smart brick system is going to look like. We've had a lot of rumors, we've had some concerning looking drawings, and it seems like with the release of all these official photos, we have the three sets currently sort of fully on display with a couple more on the way. Um, it is very kid focused, right? Lego's a toy company, I get that. Lego also has sort of broken through the zeitgeist and makes toys obviously geared towards very young children, all the way up to toys meant for adults with like UCS Master Builder line, very complicated adult themed Lego builds. So it's kind of hard to say that every Lego set made is meant for kids and adults shouldn't care about them. And I think a lot of controversy and opinions up in the air was, were these smart bricks going to be more centered towards children, or were they going to be more centered towards the adult side? And it seems like, at least with the starting wave, it's going to be mainly focused towards children. It's pretty prevalent with the builds, and obviously all the photos have really young children playing with the sets. Um, so the three sets we have sort of fully announced and released are this X-Wing set. Um, I know some of the concerning aspects people have is that the smart brick it needs to be pretty close to the tiles or the characters that are interacting with it to sort of activate, which can make sense given how the technology works. But it does seem like they used like a weird custom cockpit piece in order to just have that smart brick be out in the open behind it, but R2D2 goes up there. It's a very weird system. It doesn't seem like they're trying to hide these bricks. They're just really placed out in the open to interact with. Now, maybe that's because if you bury it, it's going to muffle some of the sound. The proximity it needs to be to these smart tiles and smart chips in the figures. I don't know what the technological limitations are, but it does make the builds very awkward, at least from this beginning phase. Um, and so some of them look good at certain angles. So the second set we got is the Darth Vader's TIE fighter, and they seem to all get this ship plus a couple little side builds. But the pricing on these, from what I've seen, is pretty much ranging from, I think, like 75 to 125, somewhere in there for these sets. Like, this to me is not worth even 75 unless unless this smart brick did a lot of things. I think a lot of people would buy it if the smart brick was able to sort of pop open the X-wing wings, um, or just had a lot more customization to it. We obviously don't know all of the details here, but uh, it seems like it plays the sounds and it lights up. Lights up certain colors depending on what figures are near it. So all this pink and purple when Leia's next to it, and uh, blue and this Rebel workers next to it. But it'll be interesting to see fully how many sounds and stuff come out of these. Um, but yeah, the builds are really simplistic, uh, and just not really worth for me getting as an adult collector. I'm not a big UCS guy. I'm not a big I need only UCS sets are the biggest and best and most detailed stuff. I actually really like a lot of play scale stuff. This to me though is the step below play scale. This seems like the 4+, 6+ sets, which absolutely have their place. But I think it's a bummer that to introduce a new concept, they're going with such a young target audience with such a high price point. I don't know if all of those are going to align to see a lot of success and to see this thing be successful enough that it has the time to bleed into other sets or improve the technology or listen to the fan base on what they're looking for. I just don't know if it's going to survive long enough to really be fleshed out enough that people will be happy with it. The smart bricks have to be charged on this sort of wireless charger that it comes with. I know at the very least the smart bricks need to be charged like that. I believe the figures also have to be charged like that. But again, we'll see what sort of the battery life is looking like on some of these. This is the Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Concerning part about this is, like, this build looks pretty good from the front, actually. It's all sort of tiled off and smooth, decent enough playability. But from what I've read, this back half doesn't get a panel to cover it. So when you place that smart brick in, this is just open. And that looks terrible. Now, if you're a kid playing and you want to hear the full sound, I think a lot of this is going to be the sound and the lights they want you to be able to see, and the sound might be really muffled if you start burying it under stuff. So I can see that, but I think it's a miss, and I think there should have been maybe some sort of workaround for it, because that does not look very good. All this, extra grooming and stuff on it, like they're kind of almost clearly trying to hide it a little bit. So we'll see. I can totally see, though, like a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid not caring, and they shouldn't care. Your super cool jet or Darth Vader TIE Fighter is going to be making screaming TIE Fighter noises, shooting blasters out of it. Like that's all cool, and they won't care. So that'll be interesting to see how it adapts to the adult side of things, or even just the not 4, 6 plus community. The final one that they fully showed us here is this Rebel Outpost. Little Rebel Outpost shooters, the A-Wing, and then the Throne Room duel, which has that old Duel on Mustafar play feature that a lot of us really liked back in the day. But again, with only one smart brick, you gotta... I don't know the proximity, because these two characters, right, Luke and Darth Vader are smart figures and will make noises, but do you have to put the smart brick right behind them so then only one of them is making a noise at a time? Does the smart brick go somewhere in the middle where it'll all work? I don't fully know, and I think we won't really fully know until some people in LAN or some, LEGO trusted reviewers get their hands on the sets and can really showcase it in a video form to us. Just getting photos doesn't help when smart play features exist with audio and stuff like that. So, I mean, this has 2 bricks on it back there, so potentially you need a brick behind each figure to then make them fight and clash, which is cool, but again, the price point barrier for this is going to be like $130, and if it only comes with 1 brick, you got to get a second brick. The bricks are only available in a $75+ set. That price just adds up so much for what is mainly a child's play feature, to an extent. So I don't know if that price point is going to be a hindrance to the success of this. But I do think it's a really cool idea. It's really cool to be able to have the characters make noises, hear Chewbacca growl as he is inside the Millennium Falcon. There's so many iconic noises and sounds in Star Wars that I think is a very cool feature to try and bring out in the LEGO sets that people build. But as it stands right now, I don't understand how that added features that we've currently been shown are going to translate to this price point. I do think that what I'm most excited for is mock builders and alt builders and stuff like that who are finding ways to take, right? So, like, this smart brick and this Luke figure interact with each other and will make X-Wing noises, or he'll say whatever, lock S foils in attack position, or we got him R2, something like that. Taking that figure and that smart brick, if that's the only connection you need to make those points, and maybe one of the smart tiles, and adding those into one of the larger play scale X-Wings will be really cool. Now, granted, it seems like I'm gonna have to pay $80, $100 to get 3 pieces to add to my X-Wing that already cost $60, $80 just to make it make a few noises. Is that going to be silly? We'll have to see. But I think taking the core smart fig or Smart Brick and Smart Fig systems out of these 4+, 6+ sets and putting them in the adult sets is where a lot of the success and that's going to be the turning point for a lot of people. People finding ways to make certain builds or put certain tile pieces over it, or those the vent grate pieces over it that doesn't hinder the noise, to turn, again, like Luke's X-Wing that I have, that I love that as such a good play scale size figure, and set, and being able to add Smart Fig features into that would be really cool for display pieces. But again, the price barrier, like if I have to buy this whole set just to add 4 pieces into that, I don't know if I'm doing that. It'd be really cool if they sold these individually after the first launch, for that specific reason, right? Like these sets come together, but if you could just want to buy the Smart Brick and the Smart Luke Fig and the X-Wing tile for $25, $30, then maybe that is a better addition that people will want to start incorporating into their builds. It's one of the things I love about Star Wars Lego the most, actually, well, just Lego in general, is modifying sets and getting in there and tinkering around and being able to customize them and add and take away what you want. So if they come out with that sort of a feature, I would really appreciate that. And I'm assuming the larger Lego Star Wars community as a whole is going to adopt that. Finding ways to take these smart features and put them in the sets we actually want smart features in. It also will help sort of revive a lot of old sets. Because an old set that has some flaws is way cooler when the TIE Fighter makes screaming noises and you can fly it past a room and it makes blaster shooting noises. All that stuff is very cool to do for otherwise plain sets we've had in the past. So those are the 3 sets. On top of that, so here's Lego's sort of official announcement, right? The Lego Smart Play system uses these tiles, which I'm assuming are printed, because if I have to lose a sticker on a tile and I got to figure out which tile is smart for what reason, that's going to be a nightmare. But it uses these smart tiles, these smart bricks that light up, that I'm curious to see how the lighting feature works and if that is just indicative to find out what it's interacting with, or if there's some cooler play features people smarter than me will come up with. And then these smart figs. Now the smart figs have this back printing that I understand is so you can easily figure out which one of your figures is smart or not and which ones will interact with them. It seems excessive. A lot of printing on the back of that. And I know that I think it's something, from what I've heard, it might be like a European recycling standard that they have to have that trash can printed on the side of their torso, right? So now that there's batteries, if you toss this figure away, countries have certain stipulations on what needs to be printed on those plastics and other features in order to figure out where to sort the trash. So they were a little bit limited in needing to put all of these on this such a small figure, but it does suck that it's there. And I feel like this was a large creative choice that could have been smaller to implement the rest of those prints that are on the sides of the figure onto this all-encompassing back. Because if I put a cape on my Jedi or whatever it is, then it's not the end of the world. But it is a bit of a hard barrier to get around, is all of the massive printing that's on the back can take you out of the immersion of it. I don't really know what this slider does. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. So again, the figure and the smart tag interact with each other. So it looks like, but see, now I'm not sure, is the figure is interacting with the smart brick at the same time the tile is. So this might be, maybe this is a plain tile. So that's what tells the smart brick to play engine noises for the plane, and then the figure is going to say whatever line he says, and it can interact with whatever's touching it. See, now if touching it is part of it, that's going to be a barrier to go over, but I also get that. And I don't know how it activates, right? If I leave this figure in here, is it just making plane noises the entire time until I pull that smart brick out? If that's the case, then yeah, being able to take it in and out is an important feature versus having some sort of press on button or a timer, or, you know what I mean? So that'll all be determined eventually, I guess. It's kind of weird that they it made this announcement, and then pre-orders start in 3+ days. It's a little crazy. I figured they'd make the announcement and have pre-orders maybe start. This countdown should be 12 hours, right? Or to whatever, till midnight tonight. But the countdown being today's Monday, so it's launching Thursday. That's such a weird day to have it. I don't know why, but something to do with how this is working out. But that's kind of funky. I also don't know how many pre-orders are happening, although the intrigue is there for how it works. So I do think the pre-orders will more come from curiosity than it will from excitement over the builds. I think it's more going to come from people trying to get their hands on it to figure out what the heck it even is. So I think the pre-order numbers will be a little inflated versus what the actual expectation is from a lot of people for it. The other thing that was released with this, so then from what I saw, just a giant spill of sets were released. I don't know if I can find it on here. There was like a screenshot of Wisps going around. Some good Mandalorian sets coming out. I know there's like the Playscale AT-AT, the I don't know, Playscale Razor Crest, a Darth Vader bust. I don't know. But there was a lot of rumors out, but this was sort of the official announcement today on what was being brought out. I think I'm optimistic to see how I can incorporate it into my current builds. I don't know if I'm going to be buying these sets for their play and display ability, but I would like to look into using the Smart Figs for little mocks I want to make or upgrading ships and stuff, because that is the style that I really like using my Lego for. And if I'm able to do that, then that can enhance how I enjoy it. But again, the price point barrier is going to be a pretty hard thing to overcome for that. So anyways, that's sort of my thoughts on this leak. Or not leak, this announcement. I think it's expensive. I think the builds are not there. And I think the clarity on how the bricks interact with the figures and the tiles was not clear. And I think that's a big miss. I think they really should have come out with a good demonstration, really answered a lot of the hard-hitting questions about it, to give people a more rounded understanding. Because, again, there's like still several questions that I want answers to before I know if I want to spend my money on it. Because if it's, I mean, the amount of sets I can get that I actually want right now versus these is shocking. Right? To choose this, like this A-Wing, I don't know if I touched on that, this A-Wing, the back of the A-Wing, see, they cover it with the, oh, Jesus, sorry. They cover it with a hand. It almost feels a little disingenuous, but the back of the A-Wing is not closed off. It's just open, which might be for the Smart Brick, but that's not a great look. Great look for a kid, not a great look for me and what I'm looking for. And so if I have to choose between this set for like $150 or $120 and the ISD with Cal Kestis's figure that I've been looking at getting, like, that is a no-brainer to me for the value I'm going to get out of the other one. So I really need to know how these Smart Bricks work. Yeah, so I'm intrigued. I'm curious to watch some videos of people, other creators who are able to get their hands on these really early and showcase the builds and the features about them to get an understanding. Maybe I'll know somebody who will get a set, or they'll have sort of an interactive version at like a local Lego store that you can sort of play around with to feel out if it's what you're wanting to get. But as of right now, definitely not buying these sort of day one or anything like that. I'm taking a pretty cautious approach with some optimistic and hopeful goals of trying to incorporate them into builds I currently have or help inspire other mocks that I want to do. But that's sort of where I'm at right now. So thanks for listening. I hope everyone is able to take a little look at what's going on and make their own decisions about whether it's going to work for their collection and what they're looking for. don't take anybody's super negative or super positive opinions as law. Definitely formulate your own and do some research. But excited to see what the future holds. Yeah, thanks for watching.